Sections of the eastern and southern Caribbean continue to be rattled by earthquakes, causing much concern to citizens in the affected countries. The University of the West Indies UWI Seismic Research Center reported that 3 tremors occurred on July 20. The first tremor had a 4.3 magnitude. The second tremor was a 4.5 magnitude, which took place 9 minutes after the first. The third seismic activity was a 4.0 magnitude quake. Executive Director of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, Ronald Jackson, says the region is prone to earthquakes. Therefore, Caribbean countries should ensure they are prepared.
2 things that we are concerned about. One, the need to ensure that we establish proper building standards and we're enforcing them. So not just establishing them, not just legislating them, but that we're enforcing them. And 2, that we are building the capacity of our first responder corps to deal with any emergency response. So operational readiness is something that we have to really seek to invest in. And I think if we look at it in that regard, and then we look at our individual preparedness, knowing what to do, when to do it, how to do it, then certainly we stand a much, much better chance of dealing with this kind of hazard. But the alarm, we really shouldn't be facing this and looking at this from a perspective of being alarmed, but being ready. Recognizing that we live with it and so that we get ready if it happens, that we prepare ourselves to deal with the challenges.
Mr. Jackson states that CDEMA is concerned about the enforcement of building codes in the region.
There's only a few facilities in the Eastern Caribbean that are built to be what we would call or built to withstand high magnitude earthquakes. Essentially, those are in the French Caribbean, I think, in Martinique. These are the ones that have the kind of base, what we call base isolation system, which allows them to move in such a way that the centrifugal forces or the torque forces of the earthquake doesn't damage the building. But besides that, most of the construction practices in the region do see the use of block and steel. The practices speak to fortifying some of the structures. The question is whether or not the standards are set, whether or not they are being followed, whether they are enforced. And I think that is the challenge we have. We're not sure whether, because we don't have a very strong enforcement culture in many of the islands.
More than 20 earthquakes have occurred in the eastern and southern Caribbean over the past 5 days. The strongest quake was a 6.4 magnitude tremor which happened on July 16, 2015. The impact was felt by residents of several Caribbean countries including Barbados, St. Lucia, Dominica, St. Vincent and Trinidad and Tobago.